This is the If More Let's Divide podcast.
What happened, Charlie guys? Welcome to the If More Let's Divide podcast. Another week, another episode, as usual, the same lingua. As you know, and as usual, I'm here with none other, Frederick. Charlie, what's popping?
Buyaka. What's up, bro?
Yeah, Charlie. It looks like today's episode is going to be another great one. Yeah, you hit me up. You told me about him, and I'm like, oh, Charlie, yeah, that should be dope. So we should make it happen. And you know.
And as usual, Mutombo always knows about everything that's happening in town, so he was aware of.
Yeah. Actually, Emma, I've met him like once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah, in the same, motorbike circle. Yeah. Charlie, guys, but we are not going to talk about motorbikes. We are going to talk about something superior, an amazing feat, and a dope human being, someone who I followed from his Instagram, his journey, from
Charlie.
region to region, country to country, coast to coast.
It's actually unbelievable.
Yeah, Charlie. But Charlie, he did it,
Yeah.
and he's one of us. One of us.
Yes.
Guys, help us welcome Joseph Ampadu.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now, Master Joe, how do you want to be called?
Two spare tires.
Two spare tires, but no Master Joe, no Joseph, no Mr. Ampadu.
So my real name is Joseph Ampadu.
Yeah.
And the name of my journey is called Two Spare Tires.
Two spare tires. Yeah. So now you want to be known as, two spare tires.
Yes.
Yeah. Why two spare tires?
Well, it's kind of interesting when I decided to name my journey Two Spare Tires because in an actual fact, I'm carrying two spare tires on board my vehicle.
Yeah.
That's why I said, let me use something that's related to what I'm doing. And then I have a thought of it. And I said, okay, two spare tires.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds well.
Yeah. Have you always had two spare tires in your car?
When I started my journey from Accra around the world,
Yeah.
I carried two spare tires
spare
from
tires.
Accra,
Yeah.
from Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes.
But aside your journey, like on your normal drive in town, how many spare tires do you have?
Oh, it's I mean, even this today, some of the cars doesn't even come with. Some of the cars don't even come with.
A spare tire.
Spare tire. Yes.
Yeah.
So, in some cases, it's just one spare tire. So the ones that if I happen to have a car and then you don't put in a spare tire, sometimes you have this run on flats.
Yeah.
I mean tires. I'll try as much as possible to get a spare tire because on our road sometimes you can hit a pothole and the rim can cut the tire.
I know too well. That's what happened to me today, actually.
Yeah. So, since you know a little bit or so much about cars better than us, aside spare tires, right? For someone who usually drives, wherever, aside spare tires and maybe the jack or whatever it's called.
Jack.
Yeah.
Jack. We call it jack.
Yeah.
What else do you think a driver should always ensure they have in their cars?
Well, I think that even when I was driving, at some point I was doing a journey from Texas, Houston to Louisiana, New Orleans, and while I was going, I saw a car on fire. The car was just ahead of me. It just caught fire, and then the guy didn't have fire extinguisher. But the fire was quite serious. So they called fire service, and within some few minutes, the two fire service trucks were there, and not just, but the car had been damaged.
Yeah,
because the engine was gone.
Yeah,
and then the fire went into the bushes around there, and it started burning. So I even had to move my car a little bit ahead because the weeds were burning. So fire extinguisher, I think is very useful. Yeah. And aside that, any other thing that the like DVLA, they recommend that you have in your car, either the triangle, for instance, whereby if you have any unexpected emergency on a highway, on a road, you need to signal the other drivers so that they don't run into your car. Because when you are maintaining certain speed on a highway, and you have this kind of situation, it might be difficult for you to actually avoid those kind of obstacles.
Yeah.
And then aside that, checking your fluid and all those things, they're very necessary. Making sure that if there's any water leakage, don't ignore it. When you see those things, you need to make sure that, because when the combustion chamber is very aggressive. It's the most aggressive part of the car. And when you have this, fossil fuel burning, and your car needs to cool down, and if you don't have this liquid running through them, it's going to have issues with your engine.
Well, from what you said, it tells us that your journey has been eventful. I know you have seen things on the road, and you said something, you actually put emphasis on it. You said they called fire service, and in a few minutes, they were there. I have nothing to say to that effect, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. Have you been driving for a long time? How many years have you been driving?
Oh, I started driving the year 2000.
Oh, really?
Yes, the year 2000, yeah. And I think the first time I had a motorcycle initially, and then later on, subsequently, I bought a Toyota Celica, and then I used it too. And then later on, I keep trying to. So, I've been very actively, driving.
Wow. Yeah. Fred, how many years have you been driving?
97.
Hey, really?
Yeah, 96, 97. Michael's mother's car.
Michael. Shout out to Michael. Yeah. So, two spare tires. We will come to two spare tires, but we want to know a little bit about you. What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm into light emitting diodes. My work involves more like visible lights.
Yeah.
As in the LED lamps, and then how we can put them together, program them, and then make it make sense so that at least it can be easy to solve people's issues and make a little money. Yeah. And then I have CNC routers. As in CNC routers use the computer numerical numbers to do a kind of tracing of instructions, and using a spindle to do cutting, so that I can have a 3D printout. And then I used to have a robotic as well, but the robotic is still running though. But that one is meant for those who want to learn coding, like Arduino 2.0 Scratch. So I have an M-Bot robot that I sell to some students to learn coding. So basically, but what I do for living, as in making a little money, is the LED side and then the 3D printing.
Oh, dope. Right.
Yeah. Chief, Albie.
Yes, I'm good.
It's good to have you. Your story is quite an interesting one. Before we get into the details of it, I think one of the things that I've wondered about you is the trip that you're doing now is not atypical of you expect a black man from Africa to be that adventurous and be intent on doing something as wild as what you're doing now. And you've been consistent doing it. So I want to kind of maybe peel back a little bit and know inside your brain what motivates you, what drove you, what made you feel like, I hate to use the word, but I use it in the spirit of trying to find out what somebody would say, the audacity. Because where we're from, most people don't even have that oomph to go on a journey like you've done. So I'd like to know what informs your psyche.
Wow. It's let me go into my memory.
Yeah.
So I would say that I'm just a normal person.
No, you are not. We don't agree. Now you are not.
So one thing that I try to pay attention is that I don't really expect any favor from anyone in life. I don't have any expectation that anybody to treat me special anywhere I go. So in as much I'm doing my tour, I don't expect favor from anybody. So then, of course, I don't get myself into being disappointed. I don't get myself being surprised, unexpectedly. And then because if you expect some favor, then, of course, when it doesn't come, you become sad. So these are some of the, parameters that I set my conditions. I condition myself, towards. And then, like I said, that I also try to be more adaptive adaptive in a sense that if you don't respect rules and regulations and laws, you might not be able to go around the world because you have to put yourself in people's shoe. You need to try to understand why they do certain things in this way because the culture might be different. The way they live their lives might be different from how you live your life, but you must not be as in quick to, judge people, to have this preconceived opinion, with some kind of belief, perseverance, attitude towards whatever you see. So these are the conditions that I found myself. So I always ready to mingle, everybody's a friend, and ready to flow.
But I was trying to find out what even this pushed you to say I can do this. Like what did you wake up one day feeling like, oh, let me just go on this world tour? Like what motivated that this journey that you've been on?
Yeah, so we started last year July from Ghana towards London, and then I did my tour around the European Union. So when we were in a group, and then along the line, some of my guys, went off, and then I had to do a solo drive from around Morocco. And so when I started doing the solo driving, and I could feel the disparity between moving in group and driving alone, because then of course there was a sudden switch. It's like you're taking a shower with a hot water, and all of a sudden somebody pour very cold water on you. That you would feel the disparity between these different temperatures. So I realized that driving alone was way different. You have the time to experience whatever you want to experience. You can take your time to stop anywhere, ask questions, take pictures. And I said, oh, this is different. I rather like this one. Then it started. So then I did Europe alone. I drove all the way to Austria. Then I started in North America, and I've touched 49 states, and including driving to Alaska. And it's been, for instance, a state like Minnesota. You know where Minnesota is? Yeah. Right on the Canadian border.
Very cold.
I touched Minnesota 3 times. I was surprised. But why do I have to drive through Minnesota 3 times? Because my first time was there to visit where George Floyd died.
Okay.
I went to Minnesota. I went to the downtown. I went all the way there where he died, and then he has all those the remnants of whatever demonstration they did. His pictures and all that were still on the streets.
Really?
I took some pictures and stuff from there, and then I went back, and then later on I had to pass there second time, and I have to pass there third time. So because of how US map is, if you want to touch 49 states, you end up touching some other states more than 3 times.
Yeah.
Because you can't go straight. It's not like coast to coast. Yeah. Sometimes you have to go a bit of diagonal. You have to go in a different. Yeah. So that's how come. It happens like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope. So you said you guys started in a group. You started with a group, and along the way, it was just left with you. Was that the plan? Or were you guys all going to start at the same time and end at the same time?
Well, that was not part of the plan. We came together as in guys who are so we're 12 guys and then 1 female. We decided to drive from Accra towards Europe, towards London. And then while we're going, I think we had some few issues. One of them was when we have a lot of few people bringing their mind, let's do it this way. Another person, let's do it that way. Yeah. So the first issue we had was Mauritania. Some of our guys were arrested because they had tinted windows.
Oh, okay.
Which the agent told us that we have to peel out. In fact, I also have my front glass tinted, but we were told that one they don't allow it. So just before I crossed, you see, so the border is like. It's like a gate, and then the gate has immigration section and security section. When you drive through the gate, that means you are in the country.
Right.
So just before the gate, we were told that we need to peel that. Some of us had different notion that, let's let's roll down our windows so they don't see that we have tinted glass. And I said, for me, I'm gonna peel it.
Yeah.
So I peeled mine right from there. But those that roll their windows down, when they crossed the gates, just some few meters, like about 200 meters, the police were just watching them. And then they stopped them, they arrested them. And then the punishment was to detain the car for 48 hours.
Shoot.
And then you have to pay some money. And then, and meanwhile, we're supposed to be in motion. You're supposed to continue driving towards
48 hours.
Towards Morocco.
Wow.
So you have to call the Ghana ambassador to Mauritania, and he has to call the Minister of Interior in Mauritania. And it took us like 7 hours before they released us. So when they release our guys, so we have to wait for them. When we release them, then we have to beat time. So at some point, some of them we have to maintain a certain speed. So when we entered Western Sahara, our lead driver got arrested for overspeeding.
Charlie, the rules.
And then that one, the police, they use this speed radar. The one that use, I think, a radio frequency when you are coming here. So they arrested them. They arrested him, and then they make him pay the money instant with his card. And then, so they asked me to lead. Then for me, I don't like a certain kind of speeding. I'm not too comfortable when I have to maintain certain speed. So my speed was not up to
speed.
What was expected. So they took over again. And then, we have a walkie-talkie, so we could communicate. Then some of them said that, when we got to Morocco, from Mauritania, you go to Western Sahara. There's a section of Morocco that they want to name it Western Sahara. And then that side, they don't have speed cameras. It's basically like police on the roadside. That's where my guy was arrested. And then, so when we crossed after Western Sahara into Morocco, then that one speed cameras. But you see, with the speed camera, the camera has to pick your registration number, link it to your address, and send you a bill. So they said that, here we can go because they don't have,
there is no link.
They don't have our addresses. So on the highway, then we have divided mind because I said, no, for me, I'm not comfortable doing that. So some of them took off. So while we were going, like 5 cars, 3 of them took off, and then it was left with 2 of us. That was the last time I saw some of my guys.
Oh, wow.
So today.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, yes. It wasn't like we even stopped to shake hands and stuff like that. That was the last time till today. I haven't seen them.
Was it a disagreement, or this is just a simple?
That's you see, if you have like a group tour, it's different from
from
so right from there, it wasn't like maybe we had any misunderstanding. Or just because someone said, we can go. Others also, because especially when you have a windy environment. When you are going to the upper hemisphere, the wind direction, like from the Sahara Desert, the wind still pushes you from the south. And even in those places, there are signage that shows that if you speed, your car can be flipped. Because the wind is very, very strong. So when you maintain certain speed, for me, I wasn't too comfortable, but others could go. So, they went, and then nothing happens to them because which was fine. I also took my time, and eventually, inadvertently, I became, lucky to enjoy the country Morocco. Because I took my time.
Because you took your time.
Yes, and then my solo driving started.
Wow. So, this is interesting. So wait, you said up till now you haven't seen them.
Yes, it's because going around, I'm driving around the world, the planet. So sometimes I come for a short while, and then I go back to continue driving. So it's just because of maybe time, and then
so did they drive back to Accra, Ghana?
So I think that they went to UK, and then they shipped their car back to Ghana.
Wow.
They flew back.
Oh, okay, cool. So, one thing that I have been wondering ever since I started following your trip is how difficult or how easy was it to cross from border to border? I'm talking about visas, your entry, permit. How easy was it? Do you hold a Ghana passport?
Yes, I actually hold a Ghanaian passport, and then I have to have visas.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you don't do the calculation well, your visa will even expire before you get to that border.
Yeah.
Because you are going by roads.
Yeah.
It's not that we are just flying.
Yeah.
And the Western countries like US, they give us 5 years multiple entry. And then in Canada to give you up to the expiry date of your passport, which is really a laudable idea. I believe they understand tourism.
Shouts to the Canadians,
Yes,
man.
yes.
I always say
Yes,
this.
I mean, their decision makers are really
very dope.
Yeah, and then so I mean those places is quite different, but I mean going to, and we know from within West Africa you just use your Ghana card. You don't need even a visa. You don't need anything. So from Ghana all the way to Senegal, we use Ghana card. And it's very smooth. I mean going through. But I mean, going to the southern part of Africa is quite different because the countries are. Let's say from here to South Africa, the countries are a lot, and some of the countries you don't even have their embassies in Ghana.
Yeah,
like Cameroon and all those places, Gabon, and it becomes difficult. Some of them Angola and Namibia, you can get their visas from Ghana, but some of them I'm not too sure how you can get. But I mean, however it is, you have to understand the challenge that you face, and then learn how to overcome those challenges. Which is part of the adaptation.
Last question then. So that is you, your visa issue, and your entry, permit issue. That is you, the human being.
Yeah.
You 2 spare tires. How about the car? Is the car like you are still using the Ghana number plate?
Yeah.
Are there any rules from country to country? Did you have to go through any, the challenge,
yes.
through and through?
Yes, I mean there are rules. I mean, in most cases, this how I observe it. If you give someone a visa to visit your country, unless you state that you can only come by airplane, the person can decide to walk. The person can decide to drive his car. If I'm driving my car, the car should have a documentation that shows that it is for me.
Yes.
For instance, in Cote d'Ivoire, you can't drive somebody's car and cross Cote d'Ivoire from Ghana. They don't allow that.
Oh, wow.
Yes. The documentation should be you. If it's not in your name, the person should have a letter given to you that shows that he or she has authorized you to take his car from Ghana and cross it to Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are even within West Africa. And I mean, those countries are also, I mean, they also have similar. But the whole thing is not that easy. You must understand the challenge and you must be ready to resolve them. Yeah.
Okay, so we've spoken about the visa aspect and some of the formalities involved in trying to do what you're doing. But as you're on the road, how do you basically survive? How do you live? I'm talking about food. How often do you stop? Are you sleeping somewhere? What's happening?
Yeah, so when it comes to the eating, if you want to go around the world, it shouldn't be too much selective. So you won't eat this. For me, I don't. No. You must be ready to.
Yeah.
I mean,
try different things.
As far as the thing can digest, if it's vegetable, it's vegetable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go ahead and then enjoy it without, doubt. Yeah, so those are some of the principles, but you can't be too much. I mean, you can't restrict yourself too much when it comes to eating, because if not, you find it difficult getting exactly what.
But do you have to plan, like you plan a life of, are you stopping to stay over in hotels or you're constantly in your car? Like what is your time like spent like? Is it divided between driving and taking breaks in certain places, or you just keep journeying and living out of your vehicle?
Yeah, so our journey from Accra to Morocco, which we were in a group, we were staying in a hotel, in hotels actually. And then when I started my solo driving, I still stay in a hotel, but it's much more easier because I'm alone. and I don't need to even make bookings in advance. In some cases, I walk into a hotel, tell me that we've sold out. Yeah. And that's especially when I don't arrive on time. I maybe, in the US, it's most likely you find yourself getting, one room or something. But especially when there's an event happening in the town or something, and you don't arrive on time, it's most likely. But even aside there, you find yourself, some other hotels around.
Yeah.
Fine.
But were there times that you slept in your car?
Oh no, I've never slept in my car. I've never done that. I don't, because in those places whereby you don't really know the environment very well, don't forget that someone can also kidnap you. It's also part of the measures you have to take. Yeah. Especially driving to Alaska, you could go almost like from here to Kintampo without seeing anybody. No town, you need to have your extra gas tanks in your car so that on the way you fill up,
you can refill.
All you see is wild animals, bears, and all those things.
So what's the longest you've been on the road without stopping?
Oh, the longest will be been on the road. Even if, let's say, the distance, maybe I have to drive for about more than 12 hours or 10 hours a day. It's like I don't go continuously. Sometimes maybe 2 hours, I'll just stop for a while. Sometimes I'll stop and be in the car. I'll not even get out.
Wow.
Yes, and then continue driving. Because in those places like Alaska, at some point I was doing more than 1,000 kilometers per day, continuously for more than about 3-4 days. And one day I was doing 1,300 kilometers, 1,200 kilometers, and
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes, and this way. So the lucky thing is that darkness starts after 9 o'clock. So if you set off early in the morning, you can go, because there wouldn't be much on the road, because these are places that there are no town and villages. Yeah, it's not like Ghana whereby
traffic.
When you are going, you see somebody selling plantain on the roadside or somebody selling food. No, there's nothing like that. You only see some wild animals crossing the road, and you have to slow down for them. Yeah, and you keep going. Pray that your car doesn't break down.
Yeah. So I want you to tell us your experience on the Sahara, the desert, because I saw you went past it. Like, how was the experience like? Were you anxious? Were you scared? Like, did you think twice? How was the experience like on the Sahara Desert?
Yeah, so on the Sahara Desert, I was beginning when we were going. I was trying to understand, where does it start? Where does the desert start? Yeah. Does it start from Senegal or Mauritania and all those places? But I realized that from Senegal, then you realize that the plants are not as many as, from the other places. And then we went in through, so the Mauritania, then you see the desert proper, whereby you have the sand dunes, whereby if you leave your car here, the wind can let the sand cover it the next morning. And then we went ahead, so we went through the Sahara, the Western Sahara on the west coast side of the continent. And then we drove all the way the long stretch all the way to Tangier, where we connected to Spain. So the desert was interesting. The wind, the wind that flows from here, it goes all the way there, and then on the desert, because you don't have anything to stop the wind, it could be very, 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 very uncomfortable. And I could understand how there are no major cities there, because so those places, it's not easy to live there.
Is it dry?
Yes, it's dry and it's so windy, and it was so uncomfortable. The condition that we have here is way different from there.
Yeah. And so, was there any time on your trip where you fell ill?
Oh, yes. So in Mauritania, there was a place that we spent a night, and then around the Ghana embassy, and the room had low current, so we couldn't use the air conditioning. So, we couldn't get good night's sleep, and we also arrived quite late. So from there, I wasn't too okay, and so I was a bit
Off.
Yeah, off. But when as with my solo drive, that one is different. I take good care of. I try to spend time in the morning, use the gym, exercise, do press ups, and all those things. Yeah. But now my car is well equipped to the extent that I have a deep freezer. If I spark my car, within 1 hour, everything will freeze into. I can pack food for like a week. Everything will freeze into us using a 12 volts. And I have a food warmer, which that one to within some few minutes, if I put in food, cover it, plug it, it will warm everything.
Did you do this before the trip or on your trip?
I got those things from California.
Oh, okay.
You know, those places, the adventure is on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have a roof rack. I even have a water that runs, like water tank on top.
Oh, wow.
And I have, all those things. They have anything that you can think of when it comes to, adventure. Yeah.
Wait. Did you get these things for free? Like because of what you are doing for the world, if I should say, you know.
Well, part of what I'm doing is to influence the younger kids to love science, as in STEM education, the robotic thing, and also to, I let people about mental health and child abuse. Yeah. But whatever I have on board, I have to pay for it. Like I said from the beginning, I at least expect favor from anybody.
Yeah.
So it's not like I would maybe get certain things for free. Even if it's for free and I don't get the reason why it's for free, I'll be worried.
Yeah.
Okay.
It?
Yeah. So
follow up. Then. So I feel that this is a dope thing for you to do. This is really, really different, especially like Fred said, from our part of the world. And you were not just doing this for the fun of it. You were doing this to raise, awareness, mental health, STEM, and everything in between. Did you think of like applying for like people, maybe even the government, Ministry of Education or something, to come and support this thing? Like, do you ever think of it, or you are just, doing your thing?
Well, I love to drive. That's number one. And the other aspect is that as I keep driving and people are interested in taking this car from a third world country to those advanced, societies, they're kind of interested. And then as they try to watch me, and I also try to tell them that, look, mental health, child abuse, STEM education, these are all things we need to pay attention to. So I've had, like for instance, when I went to, I was in Washington, D.C., and then I visited the Ghanaian embassy. And then it was the first time, we had a meeting with the ambassador. She gave me a very insightful advice and all that. They even posted me on their page, and towards what
nice
I'm preaching. But see, I try not to have a certain expectation that, let me wait for maybe this government to do this or that person to do that. If I say I'll wait for it and it doesn't come, it may influence my plans to, moving forward. So I try as much as possible to, do it within my means, and then, see how best I can do to, help society.
Yeah. Fred.
So you've been on the road for how many months now?
I started last year, July, and I've done 70,000 kilometers since I started.
70,000 kilometers.
Yeah, since I started from a little over 70,000.
Yeah. Now, I want the people to know a little bit about the fun part of your journey. I know we've spoken about the 2 spare tires, the name of it. I think you have an understated personality, so it's not. People may not know what is it adventure? Is it a quest? Besides the causes that you're trying to raise awareness for, is it awareness you're trying to draw? But you have to have some form of an adventurous spirit to do what you're doing. And also, as we're hearing, this is pretty much self-funded. So you have to be a man of means a little bit now. But what I'm zooming in on is the vehicle actually that you're taking on this trip.
Yeah.
Is the G-Wagon, right? That's the one that you've been driving.
G63, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's that's a timeless vehicle.
That's my dream car.
Charlie.
You know,
Yeah.
I've
My
always said
sisters
it.
too.
Yeah.
And so I just want you to talk a little bit about the vehicle, what the experience has been, and why you chose that particular one. Yeah.
Well, it's not like I had options when I was going. If I had options, maybe I would have considered other car. But I mean, the G-Wagon hasn't failed me at all. It has some few challenges, but I mean, some of them were kind of caused by other events, which predisposed other things to happen. So I would say that this is an adventure. I love to travel. I love to experience the planet. I mean, the other things that I understood them very well, especially even plant adaptation going towards the upper hemisphere, and then how certain species survive, and why some other plants that we see here are not there. I ask myself these questions, and I mean, at some point, I could appreciate a planet that is about 4.5 billion years old, and what a tiny river can cause, a valley that a tiny river can create in the middle of a mountain. You know, I could understand, because you're virtually driving through them every day, going to Montana from South Dakota. You could, and how they construct the road. Sometimes they actually, and these are rocky mountains, and so they try to trace the road through the line of the river, and you would understand. I mean, how and those places, like there are some few states within America whereby the formation of the planet is quite different from the others, like the Utah, Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, California, South Dakota. All those places, they have this rocky mountain that dissolves over water exposure.
Really?
Yes, to create a canyon and all those things, like Antelope Canyon. I don't know if you hear Antelope Canyon. And I went to the Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. Wyoming is also part of it. And you could understand the language of the planet. You could understand, because Yellowstone, whereby you have a hot water coming from the ground continuously. And it's not like just one place. It's the whole wide area, and the water is boiling from the ground. I mean, these are all things that it takes you closer to, to understand certain basic principles about. And at some point, I experienced even a tornado in Tennessee. And at that moment, I could feel the speed of earth rotation by the speed at which the wind was spinning.
Yeah, spinning.
Was on the equator about 1,600 kilometers per hour. On over there, it's not as fast as here, because we are closer to the equator. But if you, if you don't have all the wind following, then of course some will get twisted and become a cyclone. So it was, everything comprehensively is kind of insightful. For me, I love it.
Back to the G-Wagon. Like I said, I'm a Mercedes-Benz guy, and I drive a Mercedes-Benz. And like I've always said, if you know me very well, you know that my dream car is a G-Wagon. You know, and I'm definitely going to get that.
Yes, sir.
You know, the mechanics of that car, like that's what I think Fred was asking. You know, it took you have been driving for 70,000 kilometers on, you know, in that car, right? There's a picture on your Instagram where the car had one tire up, and you said something
The lock differential.
Yeah. Like what are some of the functions, quote unquote, when it comes to the G-Wagon?
Okay, so
whet my appetite.
To pick some of the remnant of what I have been through. I took part of a G-Wagon rally in Las Vegas.
Okay.
That was beginning of this year, in 2024. It was January. And then we had engineers from Germany. They came on board. They taught us how to use the car very well. So we had to tackle different obstacles with the car. We did off-road driving for 3 days.
Wow.
And at some point, you could see that. So, and they give us a radio walkie-talkie. So I had one in my car. So they'll tell you that at this point, lock the middle and then the back. So there's this lock differential that make each tie work independently.
Wow.
And then so that in case 2 ties are hanging in the air, the remaining 2 should give you traction for the car to move forward. I mean, this were a kind of interesting experience because, like I said, in Ghana, I had never used, because you can't use the lock differential when you're just driving.
You have to be off road.
Yes,
with some.
and then
it could actually ruin the drivetrain ahead.
Yeah.
Exactly. So experiencing that, and also I took part in America's biggest road trip. It was the Hot Rod and Motor Trends events.
Hey, Charlie, you've chilled, though, Charlie.
No, this man is adventurous proper.
And for me, coming from West Africa, it was a surprise to them. So they gave me a lot of gifts, and then I took part in a drag race. I used my G-Wagon to do a drag race in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The proper, and a drag race that when you finish, a computer will print everything and give you the results. Yeah, so I took part in that, and then lucky for me, I won the drag race.
Ish.
Oh, wow.
Charlie, shout.
Yes, and then someone was up there videoing, and then when I came down, one of the white guys said, in fact, I didn't even know that I was going to do a drag race because I was not prepared with things that would make me do drag race.
Yeah.
So along the line, these whites, some of them they are amazing. One white guy told me that, oh wow, where you're coming from, we love your story. Go enjoy yourself on the speedway. And I said, oh, go and do the drag race. I said, I don't even have a helmet. My car need to go through all those things. I need to have a helmet. So no, I'm going to give you my helmet. He went to his car, brought his helmet, asked me to fit it. Oh yeah, it fits. Go ahead, go and enjoy yourself, Joseph. So I followed the queue, and then they inspected my car. They give me an approved sticker that I can go ahead and do the drag race. So I had one guy, he has also pimped his car. Then he started, and then we took off, and then eventually my car performed.
Wow.
Yeah.
After all those kilometers.
Yes, the AMG. So I pushed the sport button. I did a bit of launching. It's not really designed for you to launch like the way you can launch those cars, but I used the sport button, and then I canceled my traction control, and then I launched a little bit. So the takeoff was, even though the guy jumped a little bit from the beginning, which the print out receipt showed everything that he took off first. And then eventually I was able to win. And it was part of the fun. It was not, anything like giving you prize or anything. No, just to have fun. Yes. And then, so the event started from LA, Los Angeles, California. And then, because it's a road trip, we had to come all the way to, Nevada, Las Vegas, to do the final events. And then when we finished, they give me a certificate, a long hauler certificate. And then their media were all over me, trying to interview me, coming from West Africa. The first time ever. And happening today are saying that I happen to be the first person to actually bring a car from Africa to do all the storing in America.
Historic.
Yeah. Nobody has done that. Deal. Yeah. So,
it's a big deal.
Yeah. So right now, what does I want to before my main question. Right now, what does your car mean to you?
Oh yes. The car is like I see it as a tool for adventure. Because now it is well equipped in a sense that, before we took off, I changed my tires. I increased the height of the tires up to 65. The height, the 275, 2065. So at first it was a bit low. So now it went up. That's the first thing. And then later on, I had the roof rack. I can have extra load on top, and I have installed like the water tank and all this. I mean, cooling systems and the cooler and then
the warmer and everything.
Yeah, the warmer and everything. And then also like I have understood how the car performs depending on what terrain and then what issue that I have. So, I mean, it's a car that if I say, oh, I mean, I'm gonna have, I mean, road trip or in a difficult terrain, I'll be able to handle it. And, yeah, so I see it as well equipped.
Okay.
For adventure. Yeah.
Where's the car now?
Well, the car currently is in the US, but I'm making arrangements to start another continent. Yeah.
Where are you going? Asia?
That should be a surprise.
I was expecting that. Yeah. Dope. Fred, we go before I come in.
Yeah. Another question that may be curious, young people, which I think would be most inspired by this because a lot of it has taken place on social media, would be wondering, because you did mention that you run a business, right? Yeah. And the other aspect of it that we haven't touched on is for you to maybe give a little bit more insight into how does a business owner like yourself able to run a business while you're on the road? Are you still running the business while you're on the road? And the other part to the question is, do you have a family? Are you that you're taking care of, wife, kids, that kind of thing? And how do you balance all of that to be able to take care of to enjoy the trip and do what you're doing?
Oh yeah, so yes, I do have business, and then I do have like a team that I work with. And in most cases, apart from, let's say, driving around, I used to travel a lot to China, and I still do travel a lot because I buy a lot of components from China for my factory. And then I have a team that we work together. And then I also have family as well. I have, two kids. They are becoming like teenagers now. So I communicate with them all the time, even when I have them following me on my page. And I mean, it's normal, but in as much as all these things are like, I mean, they're tasks for me to perform. So I try also to balance my life from the other side, whereby trying to experience the planet. It's because I have a business. Business is ongoing, but what if I'm no more tomorrow? What happens? These are questions whereby, so if I said I would have to be chasing money all the time, yes, that is fine. But however we find ourselves, whether if I'm rich or I'm poor, I mean, we have few decades to exit the planet. Yeah. The planet is about 4.5 billion years old. So wouldn't you want to experience it before you exit it? Yeah. Because, I mean, however it is, you have to live one day. Mm-hmm. So for me, going around is it's like buying a service. It's expensive, I mean, service to buy, but, I mean, whatever you experience is also different.
I've always had plans of driving across the states, across the United States of America. In 2016, I nearly did it with a friend of mine. But the car that we were having, an old Toyota, last minute it didn't happen again. So I wish we had a vehicle like yours to one day. Do you still remember one human being who you met that would forever stay with you?
Oh yes, so I met like interesting people. One of them was in Las Vegas. I met one guy. He's called Patrick. He works with Mercedes, and then also knew Hazelton in Taos, Alaska. I met one man. I actually stayed in his hotel. He told me that he married a Chinese, and then the Chinese was more like a narcissist, and then it became the part of the story. We had a lot of discussion, and he said the marriage didn't work. Then he came back to this thing, and then he has a daughter. So he was trying to show me the map towards where I was going, the challenges that I'm most likely to face. And he was an elderly man, so we had a nice conversation. He was a very nice person. And that was when I was paying for the hotel. I was just paying for the hotel, and then all this conversation came up.
Yeah.
And I mean, aside that, I've met a lot of Ghanaians. I mean, there's one guy called Eric. Yeah, I mean, he works with the Marriott in New York. He's a very good friend of mine. At some point one day, I told him that, you know, in sometimes he drives, but one day he came with a bike to work. He stayed in New Jersey. So, you know, New Jersey, you need to cross. Sometimes you can fold the bike into the train and then you cross.
Yeah.
I told him that, Eric, I'm going to drop you today. But he came to work with his bike. And I said, I'm going to fold your bike and put it on my roof rack. So we did it. I climbed up, and then we folded the bicycle. I put it up there and then strapped it, and then asked him to sit down. We had a nice conversation, and I drove him to back to his house. And then I have Mr. Emmanuel. His company is Asante International. I mean, he's a very nice person. I think he's even in town. He called me today that he's in town. And then aside that, I've met, I mean, countless number of Ghanaians who have been nice, and then the Americans, they are amazing. The white people, they are nice. Anywhere I go, I don't know where it's white neck or red neck or whatsoever. I don't, and whatever it presented to me, like I said, an event, follow an event, or okay, I would say that a presentation of an event will elicit emotion. But whatever you present to me, I don't have much memory for me to classify what you've presented to me as racist or whatsoever. So for me, I don't know what color of neck the state is, whether red or white or blue or no. I don't see anything like that. I see myself like I'm driving within the United States of America and in Canada. And I want to experience anything you can think of.
Yeah.
And I just take my car and go.
I wanted to ask you about previously, but I just remembered. So you mentioned being cognizant of the rules and laws of the various places that you're driving through. And I also want to maybe have you touch on how you kept yourself abreast with the laws of each territory that you're visiting, because you're on the road and it's an expansive territory that you're traveling through. How are you getting those updates, or that your hands on those literature to let you know, hey, this country you have to do this or you can't do this, or were you even worried about that? How are you keeping up?
I think that, so of course, I have to be careful. But on a normal behavior, I think that it's accepted in every country.
Yeah.
So let's say you can't drink and drive.
Yeah.
And there are speed limits. So when I switch from US to Canada, then I have this, I mean, confusing in, so my GPS switched from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. And at some points to go into miles per hour. Because when I open my map on my phone, and I have this Ghanaian device that works with a satellite to give me, pin my location.
Yeah, the Garmin is dope. Very, very, very dope.
Yes, I have to have, in fact, at some point in the US was miles per hour. And in Canada, you can get like maximum speed 63 kilometers. I said, where's the 3 coming from? 63 kilometers per hour. Make it 60 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Because to gauge and make sure that, I mean, you don't go beyond 63. I mean, these are all kind of experience that I had.
Yeah.
But they were kind of interesting. And then, like I said, it's all
Cruise
interesting.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll follow up. I just when this is a bad boy.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a bad boy question though. You're on the road. You're going through different cultures.
Yeah.
You're seeing different options.
Yeah.
The ladies, at the nightclubs, stuff like that. How do you, are you on some strict discipline? Like, no, this is strictly a business trip, or if you just go with the flow. Like, if there's vibes is right, you also, a man's man, you go out there and have fun and party as well. And if there's any stories you are comfortable sharing that were fun experiences for you.
Yes. So, if you are doing a road trip and you are driving alone, and you are moving from, places to place, and you drive the whole day, I think that it will be difficult for, even if you're a night person, it will be difficult for you to stay late in the night, because in most cases, I spend one night, the next day I'm going. So you didn't have a time. And then one of the strategies was not to drive at night. Even when I was taking off from Ghana, one of the strategies is that no driving at night. Unless I'll say that, I couldn't arrive on time and maybe traffic took me, and then so I try to avoid all those things. And then, like I said, this is a solo drive. I mean, there's a distinction whereby maybe, let's say I'll be in a city and I'll have to meet some few Ghanaians around. That one is different. But when I'm doing my driving, it's a solo drive. I don't drive with anybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dope. You have to link me to Eric in New York, because I'm going to be in New York soon. Maybe he will give me some low cost, rooms.
Yeah. So where Eric works is a Marriott Hotel.
Yeah.
Sometimes their low cost room can be the most expensive room.
Stop.
In the
I know.
maybe another hotel.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I mean, sometimes maybe if I have a little means, I'll try to stay there. But in fact, I got to know him in 2019 when I went to US, and then I stayed in Marriott in 2019.
Yeah.
For just a short period. And then he was like, oh, you're from Ghana. Then that was when
You guys
we became friends. And then he has a property here, so he has a small business, and I did a signage for him.
Nice.
And then we keep maintaining the relationship. So he's a very nice person. But in most of my stay in the US, I don't remember the number of time I stay in Marriott.
Yeah.
Sometimes I try to cross the river and go the Hudson River, enter New Jersey, and stay there.
Yeah.
When I know that I won't go to New York a lot, because when you cross the river too, it's expensive.
Yeah.
The tunnels, they will charge you.
They will charge. Yeah. Very,
so when you add all together plus a hotel, then you can compare to the hotel in Manhattan to see whether if you be doing a lot of crossing, you have to stay here or not.
Yeah.
So I do all those calculations. But I mean, aside that, it's fine.
Are you using like a trip planner or something like that to keep you, or do you have some personal assistant app that's letting you organize what you need to check, what's happening in this city, what I need to be aware of, like calculating this, or you're just doing everything on the go?
Yeah, so I'm doing everything on the go. I sometimes use the Google Map just to navigate, and then especially the map on the laptop is different from the map on the phone. Not in different as in the apps might not be the same, because the phone, inscription is different from the laptop instruction. But then on the laptop, I can see the tiny route very well. Yeah, so I don't have any specific app that organizes stuff for me. So sometimes I have to do these things by myself, and then I have to do all those things by myself.
Dope. I know you are into motorbikes too.
Yeah.
What bike do you ride now?
Oh.
Or you have a fleet?
Oh yeah, I have few bikes. So one of my favorites is a KTM 690 Enduro.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah, the Enduro is quite different. It has the WP suspension. Anybody that ride bike with WP suspension, you agree with me?
Yeah. 100%.
It's nice in the city. I use it that I go off road, can jump the gutter, do all sorts of things with it. It's nice. And I have a Ducati Desert X.
Shoot.
The Desert X is like, I took part in the AIS. Yeah, the Desert X is like one of the nicest adventure bikes. It's almost like 1,000 cc, and it does the highway, long distance, and then also, anything you can think of adventure, even on off road, it does well. And I have a Hypermotor too. It's also more like a street bike. And I have a Beta 300. You know the Beta 300?
Yeah, no, I've seen it on phones. Like pick pictures. I've seen pictures. I've not.
Beta is one of the most advanced hard enduro bikes, two-stroke,
Yeah.
very light, like less than
Yeah.
85 kilos.
Shoot.
But it has all those turbocharger and stuff like that, and it can boost, you know, the it's. I mean, it become very aggressive when you're doing off road. Yeah. So, I kind of enjoy riding. I mean, all those. I mean, terrain like off road and stuff like that. So, it's cool.
Do you think that one day you would go on a tour on a bike?
Yeah, I have had thought of like even, let's say, hanging a bike in the back of the G-Wagon. Because in the US, I've seen a lot of, I mean, guys, they hang their bikes. But, you know, the rules are different. So
Yeah.
you need to. Yeah, because some of the bikes are not, I mean, street legal. And then for me, I like those kind of adventure.
Yeah.
Like the dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And sometimes too, it's not bad. I have had a situation whereby in Ghana, I hang my bike towards different region. I mean, and then have it in a car and drive and then ride at some point. It's cool. It's nice.
You mentioned the AIS when he asked you about the bike, so I kind of wanted you to expand on that a little bit because we've had a conversation off air that I think is a very interesting story. If you can touch on that a little bit, what that means.
Yes. So the AIS is around Ghana in 7 days. So we had a group of bikers. We come together, and then we take off, and then we touch all the regions in 7 days, and then we come back. So this year, while I was doing my tour in January, I came back to Ghana. I parked my car in California around the airport, took a flight, came to Ghana, joined the team.
Wow.
And we went around Ghana.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that days, I think we took us later more than 7 days. And then when I finished, I went back, picked the car, and then continued the tour. Yeah.
Don't you get any issues with immigration? You going and coming.
Yeah. At some point, the law allows me to go and come.
Yes, but
in Canada, between Canada and the US, I crossed the border 8 times. On the 7th time, I mean, it was kind of, what are you doing that make you go up and down?
Yeah.
Today we are going to search you.
Yeah.
So in fact, they searched me to the extent that they told me that leave everything in the car. Your waist bag, your phone, everything, leave in the car. Come and stand in front of the car. And then 2 special guys were inside, searching the car everywhere. And then one lady was interviewing me right in front of the car. They brought everything down. And then when they finished, the way I have arranged it, they couldn't pack, so they asked me to come and pack them myself. And then I went to the back, packed them, but they couldn't find, because I'm not doing anything illegal, and I will not even encourage anything. Somebody that I'm encouraging young kids to love science. Yeah. That's not where my interest is.
Canada is notorious for stuff like that. I've seen a few shows about that. But my last question to you is this. You seem like a very pragmatic person, science-driven. And we come from a place where sometimes science is not typically the center or the kind of science that we lean on in a conventional way. It's not what we lean on. I think we have our own indigenous scientific ways of viewing things, but that has not been standardized. So in a short way to ask, you seem like somebody who leans on the power of information and knowledge, which is science, and has tried to live your life according to that by exploring and also trying to bring kids in on the other side. But we live in a country where we have a lot of social and political things that can hold people back, doesn't give people the opportunity to maybe be the full extent of themselves and even have the mind and the desire or the means to explore like you're doing. If you're talking to a young kid, maybe take yourself back to when you were maybe 7 or 10 or maybe in your teens. What do you know now would you want to share with that 7 or 10 or 15-year-old version of yourself that's in the Ghanaian population?
Okay, so I would say that science is interesting. It's a continuous, program, and it confirms things that are false. So science is something that I will encourage everyone to, even if not necessarily the younger ones, but I believe that if we're able to, let them understand science and they treat the planet from a scientific point of view, their behavior will change than if you don't look at the planet from a scientific point of view. Most people don't even understand that when you kill a lot of these animals, mammals, and all those things, especially the ones in the bush and stuff like that, they don't even know that they are causing extinction to a species that has survived for millions of years. They don't know. They have no idea. And they are all part of the ecosystem. So when we get people to understand, especially like look at the flooding, and most people don't know that when you wash your clothes and you put it on a dry line, the remnant of the water in the cloth evaporates and you don't see it. If you put water on the fire and then you put fire under the pan, it starts heating up. Maybe you check the temperature, it's 20 degrees, you keep heating, you turn the temperature 40 degrees, you keep checking, you get to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You get to 100, you check it, it's 100, you check it, it's 100. From 100, the water will begin to convert from liquid state into gas state. The planet is flying within a region we call Goldilocks zone, and we can maintain water in 3 different states. And most people don't know that when the water evaporates, it will condense and come back as rain. So when you cut a lot of trees around the water bodies, you do a lot of this, anything that we can think of, it causes more evaporation. Then, of course, the water will come back as rain. But
Self-inflicted.
yes, of course. So what will evaporate here in Ghana can become a rain in a different part of the planet. Yeah. And we all have to be responsible towards the planet. It's not like, people think that it's all about the money. And of course, make more properties and leave it behind. What if the human that are supposed to enjoy the property don't survive because of natural disaster? They couldn't survive. And of course, there's no, it doesn't
There's no value.
Exactly. So for me, I think that when kids understand science and they begin to look at the planet from a scientific angle, there are so many things they won't do.
Yeah. Are you saying we should be vegetarians?
Oh, I'm not saying that. In as much as, like you said, vegetarian, anything that we eat, apart from salt and milk, we take other lives. The plants, they also have life. So if you say you are not going to eat meat, even if you take one plant off, if you can think about the amount of carbon dioxide that the plants absorb from the atmosphere, and then, so you can't say, we are part of the ecosystem whereby, our genes have survived till today, and then we still have to keep our genes surviving. We still have to maintain our energy level by taking other life. That's fine. But there are certain behavior that is really not, it doesn't help the environment.
Last question. So you were raising our awareness for mental health,
child abuse,
and
STEM education.
And STEM education. I know your journey isn't done yet, but so far, do you think you have raised enough awareness?
Yeah. So these are all subjective issues when it comes to things that get people's attention. Because even right now, as I'm here, your audience are going to get this information. It's a gradual, something that is happening. And as far as, like I said, it's something that has to do with the brain. You can't really measure it so well, but I believe that anyone that has heard me has to really know that.
You are doing something.
Child abuse is part of it. You can't expose your child to certain conditions, and then. So, let's do our best.
Charlie, guys, Dope, 2 spare tires in the house.
Yes, sir. Big up.
Chai, he's been there, he's done that, and he's still doing it on 4 wheels with 2 spare tires, Charlie. Miss Ampadu, we really thank you for coming on the podcast today. I mean, for bringing us, for letting us live, what's the word, vicariously.
Yeah, vicariously
through you. Your journey looks very, very, very interesting, and Charlie, it is something that I wish that one day I could do, either on a bike or also in a vehicle. And I will say this again: your vehicle is my dream car. That car is dope, and it's just right for you to use that for this amazing episode of your life. And guys, Charlie, Fred,
just Charlie, keep inspiring us. He's a car collector as well. He has some pretty nice little gems in there. Maybe when you're done with the trip, you can join us and we can talk a little bit more about some other aspects of your life. But very interesting, guys. So thanks for sharing.
Charlie, thank you for watching. Do share, do subscribe, do like, and everything in between. The If More Let's Divide podcast, Fred.
Yes, sir.
We are through.
Okay.